Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Masquerade, and today I'll be speaking a little bit about the current state of the game as of GD04. And I'm just gonna start things off by saying that the problem is not aggro. Just to make you stay in the video, because many people think that the problem is aggro. The problem is not aggro. The problem is the fact that this game is not a best of three. That's as simple as that. I've seen many videos around the subject. It's not about the videos. It's more about community talks and talking about with many people about how aggro is good or is bad. And I believe that aggro is not good. I don't like playing aggro. I'm not playing aggro as a um, let's say as a new type challenge. As for WCS, I'm never playing aggro. I don't like the deck. I play the deck just to test out with my friends or to test against my friends, just because I know I'm gonna face one or two aggro decks throughout the tournament. Locally, of course, regional wise, of course, I'm gonna face a lot of aggro. But, and this might be because of my community, of course, but aggro has not been good at all. What do I mean by this? Well, to start things off, we had one new type challenge. That new type, I think, had 8 or 10 aggro decks. Um, because in our local scene, people actually don't love to play aggro decks. But yeah, we had like 8 or 10 uh, aggro decks. One of them made 4-1, which was the only blurple. Actually, yeah, we only had one blurple in that new type, which was crazy. Um, and after that, it was just, I don't know, the 3-2s. I think we had like one or two people. We were like 9 or 10 per people who were 3-2 or higher, and the remaining decks were all control or mid-range decks. What do I mean by this? The remainder of people playing aggro did not get better than 2-3. I think that aggro is something that every deck must be accounted for, and there are still some decks that people make that are just uh, I'm gonna pray, I'm not gonna see any aggro, and I'm gonna try to win. I'll give you another perfect example, which was in my last new type. Uh, the first new type I won, but the second new type I didn't win because my first round was against a mid-range League Military deck that had no blockers unless it was slot. Um, so yeah, the deck did not stand a chance against aggro because the deck was made to win against control. But most of the decks are built around winning against aggro and then dealing with the remaining decks. But the deck in the second round took on an aggro, and by turn 4 or 5, he lost. That's it, essentially. So the Gundam Card Game, yeah, it has a problem in aggro, which is the inconsistency of it. If they can go with a board wide and then Gundam Amro on turn 4 or 5, or even turn 4 and turn 5, well, yeah, it's tough. But the reality is it that hard? Is it that impossible? Is it possible that you're just not playing well? This is not an attempt on judging you or your gameplay or your game style, but I've not had a lot of trouble against aggro. Um, Furthermore, with more examples, the WCS we played, I went against a red green Xeon deck, but my deck just told me, yeah, you're not playing cards until turn 4. So, or turn 3, I believe. Yeah, I was second, so it was turn 3. So, yeah, I couldn't do much of anything, but although it was against aggro, I believe I wouldn't do much of anything against any other deck. And the other game I lost was against Aggro as well, because I was always one mana short. I did not have a good curve on my hand, so I always had to have a mana open to make the best play in that turn. And if I didn't do that, if I change my prediction of the top deck, I would have gotten a better result against Aggro. But yeah, I didn't do anything else or anything better against the matchup. Not because of me, because of the game's inconsistency itself. And yeah, this is a best of one game. Let's not lie to each other. That's the old problem of the game. I feel confident to say that, for example, the purple white Destiny deck is a really, really strong deck against aggro and can win, I don't know, 60 to 70% of the times. But those 30 to 40% are still there. So yeah, the deck is still gonna lose either to its inconsistency or due to essentially aggro, just instead of, because the deck is planning essentially for my opponent to have one or two links. If the dude doesn't see links but gets the board wide as hell, I can't do much. I can't. And that's it. The game is just made that way as a best of one. But the main thing that is good about the game being a best of one is essentially this. This makes bad players look good, which makes them stay in the community, which makes them the community itself just grow bigger. Um, so is it that bad for the Gundam card game? Yes and no, because yes, you're gonna push away competitive players, but no, you are gonna have continuously support on good players. In my local scene, we actually have some collectors, which is really good for the competitive players and don't care about the collecting or alt arts or anything like that. But other than that, the format itself, I believe, is pretty healthy. For example, playing white is a must-have right now because it's the only deck that has, well, good blockers. The only color itself. But uh, now with graceful demeanor, especially, I don't see why people are still complaining. And then people are saying, "Oh, you have to build a deck around the fact that you're playing against aggro." I mean, isn't that what every TCG is all about? You have a deck that has, I don't know, for example, Magic as a sideboard to deal with aggro, but they also have 60 cards and they have little to no draw power, and their draw must be either a land, which is our resource deck, and units, creatures, whatever. Um, but they can't change the whole idea of the deck just to play against aggro. And this brings the point, do we need sideboard? I don't believe so. Why? Because you have one card that is, in my opinion, the best card in the game, which is Overflowing Affection. It's a card that says, for one, you draw two and you discard one. You're not gaining any end advantage. So if you have seven cards in hand and play Overflowing Affection, you'll end up with seven cards in hand because you essentially waste the Overflowing Affection going to six, draw two, go to eight, discard one, go to seven. But it still makes you build your deck with consistency enough for you to play against aggro decks and against control mid-range decks. It makes you see through the deck. It makes you utilize better your hand. It makes you filter out cards that you don't need. I'm gonna give a pure example, which is the Graceful Demeanor itself. Graceful Demeanor is must have against aggro. It's not a must have against many other decks that are mid range, for example. And it's a card that is good enough to see one in the control matchups, but it's not the best. What do I mean by this? I've had a few games where I play against, let's say, Neo Zeong, where they play two blockers, and I bounce the two of them with Graceful Demeanor. and it's a huge tempo swing because I wasted 2 to make him waste 4 mana. Although it goes to hand, it's really good in the control matchups to still have the tempo. But if you see too much of it, it might be a problem. How can you make it not be a problem? Well, it's discard fodder for the overflowing affection. And is our winnies really the problem? The tutus? Yes, they are problematic. The fact that you can pay one for yeah, essentially four stat line. It's really good. But the format itself has been changing and changing and changing around all the different metas, and I still believe that after the Corsica nerf, Aggro lost its consistency a lot because playing by turn 3 that card is just saying, oh yeah, I'm not gonna lose hand advantage, I'm gonna have board advantage, I'm gonna have a shield, which is essentially that, but um, it still creates uh, a lot of fear in people's eyes when they see on turn 3 a Corsica being played, especially because of the Gundam Amuro that comes in the next turn. So, what is the problem with aggro? The problem with aggro is that if you are feeling like your pants are on fire and you had one of the best days of your life, yes, you're gonna go with aggro and you're gonna make, I don't know, 2 losses or 1 loss or even not lose one game in a region. But the truth is, with the variance of not seeing an Amamro or not seeing many links or not seeing many suspenders or anything, it becomes really tough for you to win against decks that are mainly willing to win against aggro. That's why people play so many low level blockers. That's why people try to curve out removal every time. That's why Hail Strike is still one of the best cards in the game because it can bounce one and remove another. Um, I've actually started to make this, which is if they have two winners and I'd say a Gundam in board, I will play Airstrike with Kira, for example, and most people will do bounce the little one and attack into Gundam. I will not, and I still think it's not worth it because Gundam will deal 3 damage to Airstrike, leaving it at 2, and with an Anksha and a gun tank, I'm lost. So I swing into the little guy, I take 0 damage, and next turn I can still remove the Gundam with it, and I don't have the pressure of losing it to, well, 2 pings, essentially. So, yeah, I believe that the best of 3 would make the game better. I don't believe the game is broken. I believe that the system of best of 1 is broken in any game. It's gonna be broken in any game because decks that are, if I am a really great player, but today my draws just said, oh well, yeah, you're not gonna have a good tournament. That's it. I have a lot of examples of people who were going into Top Cut who were uh, let's say 5-0 or 5-1, something like that, in other card games even. And in the last few rounds, they had the worst hand they could possibly imagine. So they just scoop up the cards and go next and go home. That's it. Um, but that's something that's going to happen with every single game. Sideboard, I don't think it's needed, especially because you can make the deck really well against, well, an all a big side of things and a lot of deck lists. But I just still don't believe that you need it. I think it will be really great for you to change the deck, but I still believe that Gundam card game itself, the way the game is made, I don't believe it really needs to have the sideboard. Um, I'm gonna give a quick example. Let's say I'm playing green white. If I have sideboard, to be honest, you lost. That's it. I believe that green white is one of those decks where if sideboard is allowed, the deck is way too strong. The deck is just you can just start to play the blocker removals on the side. You can start to play Gundam Death sides on the side, just to be sure you can remove, let's say, Destiny Gundams in the matchup of Destiny. Um, there are way too many ways for you to build the deck itself that it can be broken against anything. Yeah, you lose game one, you can scope and go to game two if you see what your opponent is playing. But I still believe that the main way you're gonna fix the game it's best of three. Um, for example, in the World Championship Series, first place was my deck list of Purple Minerva with another player. The second was uh, Blue White turn A aggro deck. Uh, but it was one of them that made 4-1. The other aggro deck, which is not really an aggro list, is a green white shark deck, which is built well with some vanilla level, of course, but not way too aggro in the fact that you can remove it. It's more about Neo Zeong and Neo Zeong, sorry, so Zeong itself and uh, Big Zam to remove the low level blockers, but it's also a deck that is more of a mid range than anything. And as for the three and twos, I think it was like out of six players that went three and two, six, eight players that went three and two, three or four of them were aggro. So yeah, out of the three and two spots, half of it was aggro itself. But that does not mean that it's a problem, or does it? Because I don't believe it is. Aggro decks are still strong. In the other tournament, only three people made it three and two with aggro decks, and those are going to be decks that if you buy roll, well, you got it. Congrats! Like that's it. Um, but yeah, essentially, I think that people are still really upset of the game of the fact that they're gonna lose some games against aggro, and you are. That's it. The game itself is made for you to actually be able to win some games, even though the matchup may seem like it's a one-sided matchup. And therefore, I just don't. I see that people are still having, I don't know, a big, big percentage of top cut is being aggro decks. Let's say 50%. Uh, but being 50% does not mean anything, especially when you see the people who are playing. The conversion rate itself is terrible. Um, the conversion rate itself it's something that people are not taking into account. People are just showing top cuts and saying, "Oh, look at the top cut. It's 50% aggro. Oh, that's really bad." No, the fact is, 60% of players are playing aggro decks, or I don't know, 50 or 40%, and some of them are gonna have really great results because some of them has the opponent who bricked on some games that they didn't have much of a chance, and some games that they had a lot of chance, and the opponent just couldn't do anything because, again, this is a best of one game, and that is the problem. Um, Also, I have had tournaments which we had like I don't know local tournaments of 8 people, and the tournament itself ended in I don't know hour and 20, hour and 10, something like that, and we just make two tournaments back to back, uh, in like 2 hours and a half. But once you make this a game of best of three, there's gonna be also one big problem, which is people are used to taking their time, making their decisions as if this is a best of one game. Once this becomes a best of three game, people are gonna have to either start playing faster or they're just gonna get more intense on telling their opponents, well, can you please go a bit faster? Well, can you please go a bit faster? And that's where you may drive people out of the game because they may get annoyed over that. They may get frustrated over, oh, he wanted me to play faster, so I made a misplay. Honestly, like, that's your problem. You gotta play fast enough for a game to last. Let's say this becomes a 60-minute game. You gotta play fast enough for you to take 20 minutes in each game. You to take, no, you and your opponent to take 20 minutes on a game. But then there is another thing that people have been talking about. Well, what if I make the game consistent enough, um, for it to be for me to see all the minis, all the Gundam Amros, and let's say all the Aegis Gundams with the blue red version. Well, you're gonna make your deck consistent enough for it, but your result is not gonna be great. I've tested out, for example, the version that had 28 of minis, and it was purple red, I believe, and the deck is not it. Um, Other things I wanted to talk about today as well is the skill level. Well, many people who started the Gundam TCG have started their first TCG ever, and from some people I know, that the Gundam itself it's not their first TCG. Well, they've had a lot of success, a lot of success in the games. So I don't believe that it's a problem of people not playing well enough. It's more because there are many people who are just starting TCGs, and therefore the skill level of the TCG base uh, is not fully understood. Uh, for example, I had a colleague who we were discussing whether aggro won against mid range or against control, because control essentially wins against aggro against mid range, and mid range against control. And he was starting to play really soon, and he didn't know uh, if the order was this or if it was the other way around. And this is something that is base knowledge of any TCG, and that's why people must start to really play the games and really make sure that you start playing well against your matchup. You can't play your games in a linear basis. You can, for example, one of the things that I've talked about many times is I see that even against aggro, some of my friends still play the base over the EX base. They are losing shields, and that's a big problem. You don't need that base. You don't need to draw that card. You will need that base in the following turn. You will need that base because you only run five, so you only see two at the most of on each game on average. So don't count on drawing three, on drawing four, because you only run four of them. If you only run four of them, you're gonna see two of them, three of them at most. If you see four, against aggro, essentially, especially, you lucked out. Congratulations, you lucked out, you made it yourself, and you got it. Congrats. There's no problem. But the fact is, it's really rare for you to not have a lot of bases in hand. If you have two, conserve the two. If your opponent is threatening to swing with 5 or more AP, you're not gonna play a base because it's not gonna help you anything. Unless you have unforeseen incident, of course. But if you're playing unforeseen incident, they are not threatening to swing with 5 or more AP or 6, whatever. They are not. The problem is not how players how the aggro and the format is made, because essentially with graceful demeanor they have fixed the format. They have made it so aggro decks slow down a bit. Next turn you can play again the same ways. You can still threaten me in the next turn, but in the next turn I'll have a way to build up my board to make some more discomfort to my opponents, and you don't have to play so many blockers that are low level. That's another thing that's been bothering me a lot. Missing lists where people are playing, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 13 blockers, as if they have to see 3 blockers by turn 3 or by turn 4 if if they go first. You don't have to. Against aggro, you don't have to see this. You have to accept that they are going to swing into you. You have to accept that you're going to lose some life. You have to accept that your opponent is going to play in that same pattern. You're going to accept that they are going to swing 5 or more AP in base. If you start to change your play patterns, you will see that more often than not, you're gonna start winning more. You're gonna start to get better results. You're gonna see that aggro is not a problem. So, to wrap things up right here, best of three, yes, please. Put it, please, in the next season when GD05 releases. Please announce that this is gonna be a best of three game, because myself, I when I quit I quit the Gundam Card Game after the European, and the fact was I was playing blue white, and I played against green white. I tested out every matchup, as I knew the Gundam Card Game is a best of one. There are some matchups which, even though I have a high win percentage, I have to actually play the. I have to actually accept there are some games that I'm gonna lose. And against green white, what I tested out my build lost to was only if they saw Shen Long Shang on turn 4, 5, depending on going first or second. My opponents, who I played against green white, had that line of play, and therefore it was GG. But and I lost against Purple a lot. I knew that most of the time I would lose against Purple, and by the time of GD02, Purple was not that strong, or it wasn't, the build was not yet strong enough with the adaptatron to make the full 16 pings. But it was really strong, and still I had to accept that there were a low level of Purple players, so I just took my chances, and when I got there, I made top 32 still, but it felt really, really bad to lose against a matchup that I knew that the only line they could have to win against me, it was the line they got. Um, but but yeah, I really think that if we go to a best of three format, you'll see better players getting consistent results. Not that's not happening right now, but I feel like the top 16, when I see it, is like one or two of the same player. If you see some recognized players, or else it's gonna be like a new player that, oh, I got it finally, and then they're gonna do a tournament report, and three of the games they won, it was a guaranteed loss for his opponent. It's not even that they played well. But yeah, sideboard, is it good, needed? No. Will it be added in the future? I believe so. Should it be added at the same time as best of three? No. I feel like the skill gap is gonna increase a lot once we come into best of three, and once sideboard is implemented as well, the skill gap is gonna be really, really big as well. So I believe this can be a 6 month program essentially. Um, if we said it started on July best of three, I'd say in February, January of the next year, we could start seeing sideboards being implemented, or even in the next after the worlds themselves. But I still believe that uh, aggro is not the problem. So thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. If you want to leave the comment about this, or discuss with me, I have my Discord, and you can hit me up. I talk with my subscribers if they need, of course, and I try to give you the most amount of help I can. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you next time.